And welcome in everybody to another episode of the High Low Sports Podcast. We appreciate y'all for joining us here on this Wednesday evening, or if it is one of your favorite places to check out podcasts later on in the week. It is a wonderful Pro Bowl week. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about in the world of sports, and we got a lot of guests in a very unconventional way, and a show unlike any one we have ever done before. I can confidently say that for sure. It is DJ, joined by my co-host Kelcey. And Kelcey, we have done a bunch of these shows, over 300 as well over 300, I believe. This one's different. I can honestly say with confidence and clarity, this show will be one for the record books, I guess, for better or for worse.
Yeah, probably for better or for worse is the better way to focus on this. Maybe the for worse part of this, we'll have to see. Obviously, not a lot for me to be celebrating recently. De'Aaron Fox potentially being traded. Everybody knows what's happened in Dallas. At least Liverpool. Oh, wait, no, they lost today as well. So, yeah, not a great sports week for me right now. I seem to be trending in the soccer world for saying the wrong things, even though I didn't technically say the wrong things. America does suck at soccer in comparison to the rest of the world. I stand by it. Stop hating on me, British people. We call it soccer. It's the only way people understand in this country. Anyways, yeah, it's that time of year where now we're just like, all right, moving on, type of stuff.
It's definitely a new era for Kelcey, that is for sure, and we will be going into a lot of that and more coming up. But first, we're going to go ahead and get started right away into our first part of the show. That is the tip-off, brought to you by our good friends over at SeatGeek. Use code BELLYUPSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase, whether it's concert tickets, sporting tickets, comedy shows, anything that requires tickets. Get $20 off your first purchase. One thing you will not be getting from there is Super Bowl tickets, and if you do, that $20 is not going to make a huge difference because the Super Bowl is set now as the championship games have concluded. We know who will be in there, and just as everyone was hoping for, we got the Chiefs taking on the Eagles in a rematch of less than 1,000 days ago. After the Eagles take care of the Commanders and the Chiefs once again find their way past the Bills, we're going to go and start in the NFC Championship game. Two of Kelcey's bitter rivals in the Commanders taking on the Eagles, two teams that you have a well-known affinity for. This was not quite the game we had anticipated, though. When we did the predictions last week, you were under the impression it would be relatively close. Washington would keep it kind of competitive. I thought it'd be relatively close and maybe Philly would pull away a little at the end. Yeah, I didn't realize they were going to pull away by double the score. I didn't realize they were going to account for 7 rushing touchdowns. And whoever was deviant, that's the only way I could describe it, enough to take the Jalen Hurts 3-time touchdown score and 3-time touchdown score for Saquon Barkley and parlay that together, is sitting in Cabo right now laughing at us and throwing tomatoes at the guys going to Cancun right now. Like, hey, got you guys. What a absolutely insane NFC Championship game. Kelcey, I'll get your reaction first on top because I kind of just gave mine during the intro. Wow, what a game by the Eagles.
Yeah, I gotta say, I wasn't completely let down by the performance. I didn't expect Washington to win. I don't think anybody did. I did expect to be close though. But yeah, when the Eagles are playing right, this is how good they can look. And I've said this time and time again. Their problem is they get into their own heads. Nick Sirianni gets involved in the offense and they do something stupid like, oh, I don't know, run the brotherly push 14 times within a 3-yard period. So much so that the referee's like, look, Washington, I'm going to just give him a touchdown if we don't let this just get in the end zone. Like, that's the point that we were getting to with Philly, where they're just like, we're going to bully you and you're going to figure it out and you're just going to have to accept it. We're going to score a touchdown. And as much as I hate it, it was a better game than I was maybe even hoping for when I first saw that Philly was going to be in the NFC Championship game. Despite the blowout, I think it was still fun to watch. I've always been a Saquon fan, also because he tore up the Cowboys every single time he played there. So obviously, a little affiliation there, a little bit of hatred. Not that much, though, on the hatred side when you get shafted by the Giants like he did. Unfortunately, he went to the Eagles, so whatever. I couldn't win for this game, period. Between the refs, Washington, and Philly, there was no winning either way. So yeah, I just took it in stride and enjoyed it, I guess, as much as I could. But it wasn't terrible. 7 touchdowns is insane, though. Like, I wish I would have thought, like, oh, you know what would be a fun parlay to put? 3 touchdowns for Jalen and 3 touchdowns for Saquon. That's just like, seems like so much fun for a parlay. You put $1 on that, you walk away with over $1 million. Like, that would have been crazy.
What's absolutely ridiculous about it, too, is so Saquon, the first offensive play of the game, the second play overall, not including the kickoff, is a Saquon 70-yard touchdown where he breaks 3 tackles. And it's like, oh, here we go again. That man still did not even hit the over for his rushing yards because it was set so damn high at 125. So I
Yeah.
hated this game with a passion because he finished with like 122 or something like that. Because Will Shipley got 79 yards to end the game. I don't know why. I understand that they got exciting whites in the secondary. I don't know. I don't need this coming out of the backfield either. So they unfortunately the bets did not hit in that regard. What I did love about it though was we talked about this during the preseason predictions. I picked them in the Super Bowl for that because I said play the kids early, let them develop. By the end of it, you'll have a ridiculous defense. They did everything possible to not do that for the first month. They did not want to put Cooper DeJean out there. Quinyon Mitchell was not seeing quite as much burn. They were better than advertised. You have two defensive rookie of the year candidates at this point. You could give them co-defensive rookie of the years. And on top of it, too, I mentioned that with Saquon Barkley. Part of that is because Jalen Hurts played one of his best playoff games in his career outside of that Super Bowl. But
Yeah.
he was absolutely sensational throwing the ball, running it on that bum knee nonetheless, too. He didn't need the brotherly push, ass grab, shove to get in the end zone. It just happened they did, but he got in without it, I think, on one of the touchdowns, too.
Mm-hmm.
They showed they are capable of doing things without it, which we're going to talk a little bit more about why I don't think it will get banned. I think Nick Sirianni and them did everything in their power to get it banned during
They
that.
did.
But I think what happened in the later game might have saved it because they were right. They basically showed you can't necessarily make a rule for one team unless that team is Tom Brady and it's tackling the quarterback below the knees. But that's old news. That still affects us today, but still old news. So I'm going to say it was a dominant performance by Philly. As we all know, Commanders are absolutely awesome. I have a feeling, considering how the NFC's history has gone for 20 years, nobody wins the division back to back. Commanders winning the division next year is going to be a hot topic pick, as it should be. I will say though, Eagles looked awfully good in that game. Like they were firing on all cylinders. Special teams is good. They're gonna need all of that in their next game when they play the Kansas City Chiefs, who once again through Taylor Voodoo, Black Magic, the curse of Kansas City, the curse of Buffalo Bills past, present, and future. I don't know what it is, but they once again found their way squeaking by the Bills by a field goal game in a way that only the Bills could find a way to lose, it feels like, as well. Kansas City once again makes exactly the right amount of plays to win the game, advancing to their fifth Super Bowl now in the Patrick Mahomes era, third in a row. Kelcey, how are we feeling about this game? Just we got more to get into with the game, so we already know where we're going with that. But how are we feeling about this game afterwards?
Yeah. I've said it before on this show, and I'll say it one more time. It is year of the ref, insert number here, that is over a million. Because yet again, and people are going to say, oh, but there was other. Yes, there were other plays in the game that could have mattered. But on fourth down or going down into crunch time of a game, and if you are going to pocket a flag at a time when you don't ever want, that you should never pocket a flag, period, when an egregious foul, that's a problem. When you actively choose to push a ball backwards, despite every replay showing that this ball was a half yard forward, then we have a problem. But at the end of the day, like you got to win the game on the field. You can't put it in the ref's hands to take a page out of Joe Mixon. God forbid he got fined again for this one. But it's a situation where you're like, all right, look, the Bills, like Josh Allen's doing what he can, but shipping out all these players every year, especially on that defensive side, obviously shows its holes when you can't stop anybody. And that's not been a new thing this season. But at the same time, they didn't have anybody helping them on the offensive side as much as they had in the past. Like it was Josh Allen's show, and he was along for the ride. You got to get somebody in that center of that offensive line to help him out because it feels like he's getting rushed between the guard and center every single time. From the Chiefs standpoint, like you did what you had to do. You played the game and you won. And at the end of the day, I don't put any fault on the Chiefs for what happened in that game because whatever, everybody wants to blame. Oh, well, it's the Chiefs are playing, so it's going to be the refs. It's not like that. It's just like the Chiefs are a happenstance to it all. Everybody that's on the Chiefs is going out there to play. Andy Reid's calling a game to win the game. Travis Kelce's out there blocking his life off, which is the most I've ever seen Travis Kelce block, and bravo to him. Congratulations. You're a blocking fiend right now. That defensive line is just nasty, and they continue to be. I stand by what I said about George Karlaftis coming out of the draft. He is that good. Oh, by the way, Chris Jones just continues to be a dominant force in the middle of the field. And then their secondary stepped up in a way that they hadn't in the past. this secondary was relatively locked down in this game to the point where, I mean, yeah, you could probably call a penalty for being in their pocket every single time. That's how close they were to receivers. But at the end of the day, you can't call a penalty every single play. Like that's always been, as a former offensive lineman, I know that that's a rule. Like it is set in stone in the verbal sense of the word, because the refs aren't going to sit there and want to sit there and talk on radio every single time and say holding 14, 5-yard penalty, replay down. Like, that's not, they don't want to do that. So you have to learn to play the game through the contact. They talked about it early on in your careers in Little League and all the way up until you got to a pro. Like, don't tell me you didn't hear that before. So yeah, good for the Chiefs. They played the game. They won. I'm tired of hearing it, but yeah, they're here. And that's what we got to work with.
I just have a checklist for this game because we got a lot to get into today, so I'm not going to run through it. The first thing I'll note really quickly on my imaginary pad here is Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are the best duo in the NFL at basically exploiting leverage. We see it on that little rollout to the running back every damn 3rd and inches and 4th and inches. They don't really throw to spots like offenses do. They don't really throw to players. Their play design is, who has a little bit of leverage, put the ball out in front of him. And Patrick is as good as anyone since Tom Brady with the Patriots and those Josh McDaniels offenses at making it happen. Oh, you have outside leverage, all right, I'll put it on your outside shoulder. It won't be perfect. It's not gonna be Drew Brees dropping in a bucket from through a pit, throwing a watermelon through a pinhole. It won't be Josh Allen ripping it 60 yards downfield with a 0.5 separation of Matt Collins, which is ridiculous. He's just going to find a little bit of leverage because Isaiah Pacheco rolling out has the outside leverage. He'll put on his outside shoulder. Travis Kelce running in the middle of the field. Oh, the guy's on the outside. He hasn't leverage inside. I'll put the ball in there. They're the best in the NFL since Tom Brady Patriots at just, leverage. There's basically unpickable in a lot of the situations. Worst case scenario is defense makes a hell of a play and bats it down. Otherwise, you have every advantage in the book. And we saw it in that first drive, especially when they just picked apart that defense right down the field. Second on my list of notes is don't chase the damn points. I tweeted this from our account early, and yes, this was me. There's 2 of us. This one I'm taking full credit for on this one because after that penalty on the PAT that you made, you don't just be like, no, I'm gonna take points off the board and go for 2. You don't take points off the board in a playoff game against the Chiefs. I don't give a flying you-know-what sack about analytics in this case. Analytics are a tool. They should not be your deciding factor. Otherwise, you end up with the NBA where it's a 3-point shot or a layup and all mid-range is dead except for Kevin Durant and DeMar DeRozan. So use analytics to your advantage, but don't use them as the end-all be-all. Because now what happens? You fall behind 1 point there. What happens later on? You're up by 1 after a touchdown, so you go for 2. What happens? You don't get that 2, so that's a 2-point swing. And what happens later after the Chiefs score? They go for 2 to put them up by 7. And what is that? They get it. What is that? A 3-point swing. What did you lose by 3? Would that have made a huge difference? No, but you have to. The obsession with numbers and analytics at the same time, it's very, very frustrating because it takes out. Because anyone who thinks old school is called like an old 75-year-old get off my lawn geezer. It's like, how about you do both? Like, sure, okay, 28 against 28 of the 32 teams in the NFL with Josh Allen, you say, screw it, let's go for it. Let's go get 2. You got to know you're playing Kansas City in Kansas City where every little thing matters. It's not playing scared. It's playing smart with who you're going against. If you're the Eagles, rules don't fully apply because your push is broken at this point. You have a cheat code that analytics don't apply to them. Like the analytics don't apply to them the same way they apply to everyone else. You have to use a little bit of, you can't use just the book smarts. You got to use the street smarts, for lack of better phrases there. And I think if they kicked the PAT there, it was not like that would have tied the game or that it was late in the quarter. You need to get within that 1 possession, 3 points. It was the end of the half. And you were Patrick Mahomes fumbling away from basically getting destroyed in that first half. And then Josh Allen threw the ridiculous dart to Matt Collins for a touchdown over all-pro Trent McDuffie. Like, that is how close you were to getting toasted. And that pass got you back in the game. Take those points going to the half 17-21. That you're in a good spot. You hold them to a field goal, you're down by a touchdown. You'd hold them to nothing, a touchdown gets you the lead, which they ended up doing. So it's just frustrating. And I tweeted this in real time, so no one needs to give me the psychoanalysis from hindsight's 2020. I get hindsight. I post this in real time. It's my issue. Don't chase the points when you don't have to. Don't chase the points just because Dan Campbell does it. That doesn't mean you have to do it too. Dan Quinn does it. That doesn't mean you have to do it too. Sometimes thinking things through is the smart idea. Now to the main topic at hand.
Before you move off for that second, I actually have a point to make for the Dan Campbell, Dan Quinn side. Dan Quinn and Dan Campbell actually don't give a crap about their statistics. Their logic is, oh, am I within 60 yards of the end zone? Okay, so the net could be plus 10, right? That's like you don't know where your punt's going to end up. You're not going to guarantee to pin them inside the 20. So I'm going to go for it. Absolutely going to go for it every single time. And that's like to me, it's a little bit of bully ball, a little bit of that mentality, that old school bully ball mentality, the way those two coach it versus on the flip side. And I've been a staunch complainer about analytics for a few seasons now, where I'm just sitting here watching this and I'm like, why are we doing stupid things that don't make NFL sense? And you and I used to play a bunch of Madden leagues together. And this is one of the things that would always separate us from a bunch of the other Madden players is we would actually just take the points. Like we would be the smart ones. If you have an opportunity to get the points, take the points because you're going to need them at the end of the game. And we would win close games 9 times out of 10 because of that. And it's like the same. Like, yes, I'm talking about a video game, but it's the same concept. Just take the stupid points. Don't try to be the smartest person in the room because you're going to fail. There's going to be somebody out there that's smarter than you every single time. And you just have to take what you can get. Like, just accept it and move on to the next play. That's exactly how they should play it. And the fact everybody wants to try to be smartest person in the room and be like, oh, I made that decision in the second quarter. And guess what? It turned the tide of the game. That happens less often than most coaches think. And that's probably going to be a situation that if you look at from a coaching standpoint, like you probably should be taught better as a coach, that you shouldn't just follow analytics blindly. But whatever. Analytics is stupid.
I should rephrase too. In this particular case, it wasn't a chance at points, like a field goal attempt. The point was literally on the board, and that's why they took it off. That's my main issue. I love going for it on fourth down, like we mentioned with Dan and Dan. There's times and situations. I don't think when you literally take a point off the board is my issue at that point.
Yeah.
Don't take the point off attempt. That's different because you could miss a field goal attempt. The ball already went through the upright. The scoreboard had to change. That was my biggest complaint with this particular situation. So before the analytics nerds come after me, we do appreciate nerddom around here. There's just a limit. There's
nerddom, and then there's analytic words I don't want to say on camera.
We're trying to split the difference here.
Yeah. Don't be an analytic fool.
Exactly. And then last but not least, as the top 8 hand, did they get hosed by the refs? There was 2.5, what I'd say, bad calls this game. The one was the touchception tomfoolery with Xavier Worthy. That's an incomplete pass. That ball hit the ground, and it was not controlled. And if you're going to say it was controlled by the defender. It was not simultaneous possession. Because Xavier Worthy's hand pushed that ball to the ground. I know it didn't move, but by that application, you have to continue it through. That doesn't mean he gets to re-catch it off of that. That's an incomplete pass. Did not cost you the game. The Dalton Kincaid, he got that first down on third down. I'm pretty adamant on that one. Everything I've seen, I think he got that first down is a bad spot. The fourth down, I think he got it, but that one was such a mess. I'm going to count that as half for me personally because it was such a mess. My bigger issue is, what are you doing that exact same play to go for it? Just run the same BS that you ran earlier on third down where James Cook squirts out the side like Patrick Mahomes and Isaiah Pacheco do every play. You don't run QB push to the left every single time. When Chris Jones is on the opposite side, when they are blatantly crashing right across, that shows absolutely no innovation, no creativity. You deserve to not get that one. The officiating did not cost the game. Did get hosed by the refs? No. They lost the game. There was 2 quote-unquote important calls that could have gone their way. Who knows? But at the same time, that's still Patrick Mahomes on the other side. Like you still got to get it done. Those weren't touchdown plays taken off the board. Like that wasn't the touchception Golden Tate circa of 2015. Like it's not that bad. So it's unfortunate considering what had happened the week before, which is why I think it's even a conversation. What happened in that Houston-Kansas City game with some of that tomfoolery. So I think this is a carryover of that. I think Bills at that point were losing the game even if you give them that first down. Like they were playing ultra conservative. The fact that they were, I don't think they were in position to win that game as it was. Maybe they get the field goal if they're lucky, but like you can't beat Josh Allen save us. That works against 28 of 32 teams. Like that doesn't work against Kansas City though. You need to have more than just a one-man superhero. I don't care if it worked in the regular season. It's Kansas City regular season, Kansas City postseason, 2 completely different teams. And even in the regular season, they went 15-1. So that's either way. My point is, I don't think they got hosed by the refs. I think we're in agreement. So some bad calls went the Chiefs' way. I don't think it was the reason of the game, though. I still think the Chiefs won the game. This wasn't you can't blame the Zebras on this one, no matter how starch you hate the Chiefs. Like if any reasonable person is looking at this, like, here we go again. But it can't be like Zebra saved them this time.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I don't like when referees get involved in games like that. I don't like it. I never have, never will, and that's why my year of the referee has continued to be a thing every single season. We
It's
have
been
something.
half a decade now.
Yeah, at this point in time, it's every sport. It's not one, and let me be clear about that. It's not just one set of referees. It's a whole thing, and so be it. You just at this point in time, you just have to learn to accept the refs are going to blow some calls. They're not going to be perfect. They're human. Like unless we put robots out there, which everybody who complains about this, the refs making bad calls, also complains about the idea of robots getting involved. So let's not get started there. They hate replay, let alone robots. That's
Keep the
ridiculous.
humans. I'll deal with the human error as opposed to a
Yeah,
robot getting hacked. Like there's
just
way too much money involved gambling for that. A robot will get hacked.
like just accept the fact. Like yeah, they're gonna miss some calls. Like it is, but the ones that bother me are always going to be the goal, like the line to gain type of ones. Like we have a clear rule of where the ball goes out. If you are going out of bounds, the ball is wherever it crosses the plane after you step across the line. So it's when your foot touches white, where's the ball in relation to the sideline? Or vice versa. Is the ball already out of bounds before you step out? Well, then the ball goes back to the spot. And that's like the very clear rule in the NFL. But on the flip side of it, when you're in the field of play, it's where the ball gets the furthest place forward. And that's always important to mention. And at this point in time, we have a sky cam. Use the damn thing. In it fourth, in goal to like inches situation, put it right over the line, look straight down, and guess what? You got a camera angle that tells you exactly how far he got. Don't move it. Don't do anything. If it gets out of frame, well, guess what? He got a first down. If he didn't get out of frame, well, guess what? It's going to be close. And now you have to, like, you know exactly where he got to. All right, we're done. Moving on. Like, or put a chip in the ball. Just don't. If you're going to complain about the refs, come up with solutions. Don't just complain about the refs. Like, that's my whole thing with this referee crap.
Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. This is not exactly an excuse because officiating has been bad in a lot of cases.
Oh, they're
like
terrible.
It needs to be called out. Like there's a lot of terror about this there, but this game I don't think you can say it saved them. Like this was not a refs Chiefs masterclass where they're all wearing the same uniform. This isn't where they all showed up like they were working at Foot Locker. Like this was just different where a couple of the two of the main calls on just happened to go their way, but I don't think those were ones that affected the game. What I think the officials could use this year is something to keep their mind focused, keep them locked in, make sure they're wide awake. Something that maybe gets their mind to start being a little bit more magical, if you will.
Ah, man, isn't that for sure? DJ, you're probably referencing Magic Mind, our good friends over at Magic Mind. If you guys haven't heard me talk about it yet this month, Magic Mind has dropped off some great new product. They now have a sleep wellness shot, sleep performance shot, so I could actually sleep at night. If you all know, I had problems falling asleep during the day. Well, their performance shot helped me with that. And now their sleep performance shot helps me go to sleep. And then I wake up with a regular performance shot and I'm good to go for the whole day. So they call it a 24-hour pack. And available right now, you get up for 45% off over at the website, magicmind.com/HiloJan. If you guys are ever questioning how good the product is, it is rated by over 200 tests, doctors approved. Fantastic ingredients, first quality ingredients. You got ashwagandha, lion's mane mushroom, a bunch of different good, healthy tools, naturally occurring ingredients within it to help you get through the day and get to sleep at night. So it is a 24-hour pack. So again, guys, be sure to go check it out. Honestly, I love it. I've been using it now we're going on 2 weeks of using it. I absolutely love it. It's absolutely fantastic. So go over to get your bundle today. 45% off the Magic Mind bundle at the link magicmind.com/HiloJan. You can check it out. It is in our bio beneath this video or the description beneath the video. And then just click on the link, go right to Magic Mind, enter the code HiloJan for 45% off for the month of January of the Magic Mind bundle, the 24-hour bundle. It's been an absolute game changer. And hey, if Cleet Blackman wants to give me a call, I'm sure I can deliver some Magic Mind to him. That is absolutely sure.
Combine the Magic Mind with the free LASIK that LASIK is offering to the officials, and we're going to have ourselves a whole different game. No robots required. So that's for sure. Definitely be able to click on that link. You'll be wide awake. Speaking of wide awake, one thing that has really happened this year is I think it's awoken a lot of people's eyes to how much they seem to hate the Chiefs. Not that they didn't before, but it's cranked up to another level, which had us wondering which dynasty was worse. Which one is more insufferable? The New England Patriots dynasty of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, or the Kansas City dynasty of Travis, Andy, Patrick, and ketchup on steak. So what we're going to do, we got a 5-point rubric on here. We're going to grade each one to the point where we will have a determining factor at the end of it. We're going to grade it on the players, the coaches, the fans, the cities, and miscellaneous. This includes everything that's not in those categories. Basically, it goes into it. We're going to start first and foremost with the players. Which team has more insufferable group of players? Which ones that they're the ones that rub you the wrong way and you just kind of get tired of them? Kelcey, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. Which one, who takes the cake in the category for players?
The Patriots. 100% will always be the Patriots. Tom Brady. Period, point blank, end of story. Tom Brady is the reason I cannot stand the Patriots. I like Patrick. I like Travis. I like Chris Jones. I like a lot of the players on the Chiefs. I don't like Creed Humphrey, but that's not because he's not a good lineman. That is just because he is just not somebody I like. I don't like the way he plays the game. I do think he embellishes a little too much for a center. Center's supposed to be a badass, and he's not that. And that's where I have a problem with him. But on the flip side, like he's probably my most hated Chief, not named a kicker. But on the flip side, for New England, I could probably rattle off 10 guys that played for them, Teddy Bruschi being one of them, that I just didn't like them. Rodney Harrison, another one. Deion Branch didn't really mind one way or the other. Their best redeeming player was Gronk or Chad Ochocinco, because he was known at the time, or Randy Moss. Loved those guys. But there's a lot of the other guys I just cannot stand. So for me, New England has the worst players.
A very fair point that you make there. And they also have a lot more players due to that was 20 years. So there is a lot to choose from there. And the way Bill would cycle a lot of them in and out, there's a lot more to go through there. Where Kansas City, we're on year 7, we could say, of this dynasty. Really 5, but we'll give them 7.
That started with Alex Smith, by the way. I don't stand by that. I don't care anymore.
Well, if we're going to include that one, then yes, it goes a little bit farther back too. I guess I was just going since the first Super Bowl, but yeah, all right. If we include Alex Smith,
I'm basically going since Patty got drafted, so that's about almost 8 years now, 9 years.
I would say Kansas City has a little bit worse because I will not stand for the ketchup on steak. I will die on this hill. That is unacceptable. That is a sin. That alone ends the conversation. I like Chris Jones when he's not running a 40-yard dash. The problem is that unfortunately overtakes everything else. So that is locked in stone. Travis is great, but at the same time, you mentioned Creed Humphrey with the embellishing. Travis does a lot of the same. He will stick his chest out and bump the helmet, but the flag will go the opposite way. We love Travis Kelcey here, but at the same time, we're comparing him to Gronk, who is just a drunk frat bro who literally coined the term, I escorted him out of the club while beating the you-know-what out of the Colts. So I can't hate on him for that because that's hilarious. I love Isaiah Pacheco. Kareem Hunt, I get a kick out of him sometimes, but I could do without. They're kind of very even, honestly. The reason I'm going to go with Kansas City on this one is simply because it's a shorter time frame. So a lot of those players are the same, where New England has had so many to cycle through. There's a lot more opportunities to get those players that you just can't stand at the same point. I think it's really close. Give me 3 years. If we revisit this, it might change. But the deciding factor is literally going to be the ketchup on steak. I cannot allow that. So out of the gate, the ketchup on steak is the deciding factor here for me.
That's fair. I honestly, I'm not thinking off the field with these guys. I hated Tom Brady, period, as a player. Maybe I just hate greatness as a player. I don't know, because I feel the same about Kobe. I just hated them as well. I respect them, respect the hell out of them, but I just don't like them as players.
I love them a lot more in hindsight than current sight. That's for
yeah,
sure. So
yeah. I like
a whole lot.
Exactly. I respect it. I respect the game. I'm not going to say I liked him as a player though. So yeah, whereas for Kansas City, I like Patty's abilities. I like Travis Kelcey. I like his attitude. I wish he would get a few more taunting calls on him, but you know what? That's not his fault that he's not getting called for taunting. He's also a blocking tight end, so he's literally like the dream. I say blocking. He blocks occasionally as a tight end, which is the dream for every offensive lineman, to be able to play tight end and only block occasionally. So a little bit of jealousy there. Same thing for Gronk. But yeah, I don't hate the idea that you hate Kansas City more than New England. But yeah, for me, Tom Brady just seals it for me.
Even though he hasn't been nearly as bad on Kansas City, TikTok boy is still on there too with Juju Smith-Schuster, so it still counts in that algorithm. Like it's you know what, it still counts even if it hasn't been as frequent. It's still there. It's not gone.
You know what though? He is the least problematic TikToker that related to Kansas City Chiefs, and the other one is thankfully not on the team, so we don't have to worry about that. And then the other one is a flag of a player.
Yeah, we weren't getting that. Yeah, I'm going to get into that. He's not the most problematic Steelers receiver of all time, that's for sure. But now we're going to part number 2 of the rubric. We are going to the coaches now, and I'm going to keep mine short and sweet. This is New England at 10,000%. How does one not love Big Red Andy Reid? And Steve Spagnuolo as a defensive coordinator is absolutely awesome. I'm just going to leave it there. Big Red versus Bill Belichick. Answer's pretty quick and simple. One guy talks in Or on to Cincinnati. The other guy makes jokes about it's gut wrenching and I got a whole lot of gut. His quote, not mine. So give me Bill Belichick is the more the New England takes the cake with coaches here. And but by the way, for those just tuning in, getting the nod means you are worse. So that means we love Andy Reid by saying the nod goes to New England. Just because I know the scoring seems a little backwards. It's like golf. The lower score, the better.
Yeah. This is we're ranking the worst. We're not ranking the best. I am just going to keep it short as well. I love Andy Reid. I have always liked Andy Reid. Even when he was with Philly, I liked Andy Reid. I thought he was a fantastic offensive play caller. I thought he was a fantastic mind, and he's finally showing that off with all the weapons he has. So, yeah, I hate Bill Belichick though. He's you've heard me call him all sorts of negative things. The Dark Sith Lord. He is the Darth Plagueis the Wise, if you will. You take your pick on which one. It's probably not Plagueis, but you get my point. Yeah, insert random Sith here. Bill Belichick still shadows them. So yeah, Bill Belichick is the worst of the worst.
Absolutely. Next, we're going to move on to the fans, and this one's a lot closer than it used to be. That is for sure. It has definitely increased in recent memory, but I'm still sticking with Old Reliable because Boston gonna Boston. They got a reputation for a reason. So we're going to say, as a whole, the Patriots fans still got the nod, but I think Kansas City has closed the gap a lot more in recent years than they should have, considering the head start that New England did have. It's still comfortably New England right now, but that gap is closed entirely too quick when you factor in the bandwagon that hopped on.
Yeah. I would love to go with New England and just continue my streak of going New England here. I can't. I have to say Kansas City on this one because I cannot stand Kansas City fans. They are so obnoxious. And it's like, I get it. You're good. But San Francisco Giants fans weren't this bad when they won 3 titles in 5 years. And here you are as the Kansas City Chiefs, a flyover state, by the way. Most people don't even know which state you're in. And you're going to talk it up like you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And by the way, you're not. The Wonder Factory is not even in Kansas City. So yeah, no. And your barbecue, not the best barbecue in the nation. Stop it.
Okay, those might be the fighting words. Everything else we were good with, but now we're getting canceled.
I like the Lights District. That's cool. Fun to watch sports there. I will not. And no. So Kansas City is the worst of the fans between those two, and it's really the recency bias of it. Just because I've been to Kansas City in the last year, and I cannot stand all the Chiefs fans that are obnoxious. I didn't even wear Cowboys gear, and I still got hated on.
You know, that's fair. And you know what? That actually leads us into our next category, and that is the city. So, Kelcey, is Kansas City taking the city too, or does Boston take the city?
No, Boston's always the worst city. Like, it's historic. It's cool. Boston will forever be the worst city, though. The only thing worse than that is New York and Los Angeles. So.
I'm going to say Kansas City for one word and actually 2 words. Cold tornadoes. They get both of them. At least in Boston, you're just freezing. In Kansas City, you got to worry about tornadoes. You got to worry about potential flooding, especially in that Midwest during those seasons when the rain spikes. We saw that in Iowa, Nebraska, etc. Tornadoes, you're right there. Freezing cold. We saw that last year in the game against Miami. So I'm taking Kansas City for no other reason than that weather could get absolutely atrocious. And on top of that, too, you're not even in one state, so you don't even get to for only claiming half of it. There's a lot of tomfoolery here. So that's going to split mine now 2-2. I'm going to say the city goes to Kansas City. So that's 2-2, and you got Boston 3-1. Does Boston go 4-1, or do you give Kansas City a chance to close it at 3-2 with miscellaneous? Then this could be literally anything.
No, so I'm actually going with owners as my miscellaneous decision maker. Yeah. So with that said, Robert Kraft is the worst of those 2 owners. The Hunt family, love them, respect them. They have a trophy named after them. Robert Kraft has a documentary named after him, and it's not named for Kraft, but it is. Yeah. So with that said, I'm going to go with the Hunt family here as my decision maker as the better of the 2. So that means I'm picking Kraft as the worst, which means New England 4-1 for me.
All right, so we definitely have a strong inkling towards the Northeast on that one. This one's really close. If we did just owners, you hit the nail on the head. But since I named it miscellaneous, it kind of goes into just about anything. So this is where ours will differ a little bit. You mentioned a certain TikToker on the sideline as well recently. I think that plays a part into this factor that can't be just let go. There's a lot that comes into it. What I almost hate more than the Chiefs bandwagon, the miscellaneous fans that have come on for different reasons, are those that hate on those for that exact reason, because I have to hear about that too. The people who, it's bad enough that they have their hardcore their bandwagon fan base that comes with natural sports, etc. Then you tag on the Taylor Swift fans. That's fine. It's the people who hate on both of those relentlessly on top of it that makes it even worse. So you got like 7 different layers going on here. The haters of the haters of the haters. Somehow they have managed to stockpile haters like Thanos and Infinity Stones. And it's almost impressive, but it's to the point of exhausting. So as much as you are spot on about the owners, and that makes this closer than I initially planned, I'm still giving the nod to Kansas City in miscellaneous. So right now I think Kansas City takes it 3-2 in my book. It's a lot closer than that, though. And you know what? I might change my mind in a week or a month or a year, just like we might end up flip-flopping depending on how this goes, because we're comparing 20 years to 7 at the same time. So there's a little bit of room for wiggle room. Maybe in a couple of months or a couple of years when we do this, you might have 4-1 Kansas City and I might have 3-2 New England. Definitely a lot of wiggle room. But everyone be sure to let us know down in the comments below which dynasty you think is worse between New England and Kansas City. I think this is a very interesting conversation about how much recency bias will play into it, because that might be where I'm getting kicked as recency bias in the last one. But there's a lot to look at in there. But we kind of teased it earlier. Now it is time for the main event. And for the main event, we promised something that we haven't necessarily done before. I'm going to go ahead and lead us in here by looking at this. This is a poll recently that I held on our X page. And what I did on that one, basically the Cowboys, they hired a new head coach. They hired Schottenheimer. A very interesting choice. That's what we'll leave it at for sure. I posted on there. It's a safe pace. Cowboys fans, what do you think? Great choice, bad choice, who other? You see bad choice, would they comfortable win at 45% with who? Followed shortly behind there before. Our good friend Kelcey, as you all know, has been a lifelong Cowboys fan, for better and for worse, mostly for worse. And if you scroll down a little bit further, you see he was not happy about that. And on top of that, he is officially renouncing his Cowboys allegiance. He is now entering the transfer portal. So that leaves us with 32 teams available, a full 32 different eligible bachelors and bachelorettes vying for the opportunity to court Kelcey to their team. So without further ado, we are now going to introduce a new segment for our show, a first in a very long time, and hopefully the last, honestly. Hopefully we aren't doing this too much more often. We are courting Kelcey. Kelcey, welcome back to the stage, my good friend. You're starting out your day in an abusive relationship with the Cowboys. By the end of this show, you might have somebody else in your life. We are courting Kelcey NFL edition. How do we feel, sir? Back on the market.
Yeah, it's been over 2 decades. I don't know what to feel. Heartbroken, but I'm ready to mend. I think I'm ready to mend on this one, but I'm heartbroken at the same time. You know, I had to put on the nice polo for this one. A little bit of a suit coat. It doesn't really sit well. I didn't have time to fully press it yet. Sorry, guys. I've been recovering for the last 3 days after the terrible news coming out of Dallas. So I had to mend. I'm ready to mend.
Look, you've suffered a lot. You can only have your heart broken so many times before you eventually just have to move forward and cut it loose. The first step is healing. The second part is getting yourself back out there. You can't let this bring you down forever. But you have 32 teams, which means you have 32 eligible bachelorettes out there. But don't take it from me. You can take it for some of our good friends as well, too, that are going to be trying recruiting you to their fandom. We're going to go and start with our good friend Matt Ordazzo from the corner booth. He's going to recruit you on behalf of the New York Jets.
Matt with the Corner Booth Podcast is here to recruit Kelcey Coyne to be the newest fan of the New York Jets franchise. Now, give you a little spoiler. It's not going to be positive recruitment, but I think I can get this done. Kelcey, as a Cowboys fan, I know you got a lot of pain. I know there's a lot of miserable years, a lot of miserable Sundays, a lot of painful seasons, and I get it. Trust me, I fully understand. I'm here to take all that pain and miserable and stress away from you. Every Sunday from September to February, as a New York Jets fan, you can enjoy football. As a Jets fan, we expect to be bad. And that's our expectations, is to be bad. And we exceed it every year. So in a sense, we reach the goal every year as a Jets fan. We don't worry about Sundays. It's stress-free, pain-free Sundays. We know we're going to lose. We lose. We move on to the next handful of 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock night games. We enjoy them all. We were able to just endure the suffering of losing a game and immediately move to the next game within 5 minutes and enjoy that game and forget whatever just happened. It's great. So, pain-free, stress-free, easy-going September through February Sundays. That is what I can supply as a Jets fan. You always know you're not going to be good, so you don't have to worry about expecting to be good. Every now and then you get one good season. That's about it. There is room for one more on the couch, Kels. All you gotta do is be that one more. Join the JETS Jets, Kels.
He makes one heck of an argument, and they did recently bring in your boy Aaron Glenn. So you know what? There might be a little bit something there.
Yeah, a little bit of tear to the eye when he said pain-free and stress-free. That sounds fantastic. I don't know what a Sunday like that has felt like in a long time. I don't know how I feel about the expecting to suck part. I've already kind of expected the Cowboys to suck as the most negative Cowboys fan in existence. So now that that's past me, I don't know if I want to move to a team where I'm expecting them to suck continuously again. Maybe a little bit of positivity and hope. That sounds good. But you know what? I don't hate the Jets pitch. And coming from Matt, I obviously love Matt Ordazzo a lot. So I appreciate Matt sending that over as a Jets fan. I know he's been through a lot, so I sympathize. But I don't know if I'm ready to join that bandwagon just yet. I don't know yet.
Hey, you know what? We got 31 other bachelorettes on the table for you. We're going through a handful today and plenty more to come through in the oncoming weeks. The next one, though, when something really hurts, you want to go to somebody that matters to you. You want to go to somebody important. And I thought, who would be somebody that I would trust in this situation? So I recruited the help of my own mother to help us with this. She is a Raiders fan, and I asked her politely, you know what? I think this is what Kelsey's going through. What do you think? And on behalf of the Raiders, she has sent a recruiting pitch, and I quote, don't. So that is her pitch to have you join the Raiders. But in all seriousness, you have the likes of Brock Bowers. You do have a potential new quarterback on the horizon. And you know what? There is some hope there too. You do have Tom Brady in the ownership group. As far as winning goes, that's a good start. Your owner does look a little bit goofy, but that's okay. You're used to that. And Vegas, baby. It's Vegas, baby. And Mad Max Crosby. So there is something there, despite the positive outlook from DJ's own mom as far as being a Raiders fan goes. But Kelcey, the Raiders. And you get to say Raiders in very goofy accents and no one judges you.
Yeah, I don't know if that's enough for me to outweigh the advice of both your mom and my mom, who, by the way, is a Raiders fan. And her response also was, don't. So that's two Raiders fans saying don't, and one of them is responsible for half of my DNA, and the other is responsible for the other half of our fans for the show. So yeah, I might have to listen to both moms on this one and just say probably not. But I appreciate the Raiders for giving an opportunity for me to join their storied fan base. But honestly, Mark Davis might be the one guy I've probably complained about more than Jerry Jones.
Hold that thought on there, because this next pitch we're going to have is another person you have complained about, but I think he makes a very interesting pitch with a very interesting bat drop that I think will hit you right in the heart. Here's Kevin telling you to join the Patriots fandom.
Hey, Kelcey. Here you're looking for a new team. And obviously I'm a Patriots fan. I know this is one of your, no, I'm not rooting for the Patriots. And I could talk to you about the rings. I could talk to you about the great players we've had. Tom Brady, probably not a great one to start off with considering your feelings. Andre Tippett going back. You have John Hanna, probably the greatest guard in NFL history. I'm not going to talk about that. You have that with the Cowboys. That's not going to sway your opinion. I want to talk to you about culture. Not the Patriot way or anything like that. I want to talk to you about culture shock. You cannot go from a team like the Cowboys, who are, let's be honest, a bunch of has-beens. Patriots, similar but a little bit closer. You cannot go to a team that's been winning lately, that you won't know how to handle it. With the Patriots, you still have that winning mentality where you can go, that's nice that you won a division championship. We have more. So keeping that kind of same mentality but bringing it into the 21st century will be great for you. Additionally, ownership. They're very similar. Both probably have dementia. Both want to do it their way. They want all the credit for it unless it goes bad. Then it can't be their fault. And the benefit of Kraft over Jerry Jones is everyone gets a happy ending with Bob. So I think the Patriots really should be your next.
All right, so Kevin makes a very strong argument there. So where some things are different, they can also be similar, and that could be the path to moving forward.
I'm glad we went from our segment about the worst dynasties right into the Patriots proposal for me to join their team, because this is so much more fun, because I literally just trashed half of the things he talked about, but he's on the same boat. So I love that. I love that from Kev. That's amazing. Yeah, I don't know if I'm swayed by all the hilarity of that. I might be pushed the other way because of the Alabama backdrop behind it, because that just tells me like too used to winning. Like I'm not prepared to join that. I don't like Alabama. Maybe I continue that by not liking the Patriots, but I do love the rest of that because he's right. I don't know if I can join a winner. I don't know if I'm ready for that type of commitment yet because that's a lot. Like there's a lot to hold up to that because we just talked about Kansas City fans. They don't know how to handle winning. Would I be the same way? Would I turn into that type of fan? I don't know yet. But yeah, thank you, Kev. Patriots are in consideration. They've gone from 32 to maybe somewhere in the middle. So now I might have to consider the Patriots seriously here.
Hey, you know what, too? You said you're not really used to winning, so that's going to take us to the next one we have here, and that's going to be me. I'm going to pitch you on the Colts. I'm going to keep it relatively quick and painless, though. One thing you talked about, you need to somewhat have some familiarity. You're trying to get away from it, but you can't completely go polar opposite. That's how you get in trouble and you end up like the Jets, who just hire complete opposite coaches historically. You need to keep some familiarities with some significant changes. Ownership, you get to keep a mess of an owner. You get to keep that, but a slightly different type of a mess. And frankly, Irsay needs a golf cart to get around the stadium nowadays. It might not be that much longer. His daughter might be taken over sooner than later, so it might be able to bridge the gap there. Incompetent GM. You're used to that, but at least this one didn't get in there on nepotism directly. It's like he's the adopted son at this point, so it's not direct nepotism. It's like nepotism adjacent at this point. Creativity. They do find some unique ways to lose. Zeke at center, Pat McAfee at center. Like there's some similarities there. The fake punt on 4th and 2 with 1 lineman against 3 defensive linemen as safety taking the snap from many years ago. So you know what? There's a little bit of fun there. Quarterbacks getting destroyed. Tony Romo, Andrew Luck. Really good quarterbacks, unfortunately getting destroyed. Pain. Offensive line play. You do love yourself some Zach Martin. Who do you love probably second best to Zach Martin? You can make a case for Quentin Nelson. So you do got that right there front and center. Plus Tanner Bortolini as well. There's and your boy Braden Smith, who currently is there, was held on that last. There's a lot to like there as a former offensive lineman. There is talent there. That to the point of kind of disappoints you when they keep letting you down after a while. However, that division stinks enough that it just might turn around at any given moment. So when you least expect it, you don't have an Eagles that is constantly a thorn in your side. The only thorn in your side is winning in Jacksonville. But other than that, that's the only time that's one game of the year. And they don't really take the division from you because of that. They just annoy you later on. There's a lot. And on top of that, you get to claim tradition similar to the Patriots in recent history of being decent with the Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck eras. A lot more recent in your Cowboys history. Not quite as good as the Patriots, but there's not an Alabama backdrop. So you get a little bit of something to go with that. And you know what? You've been in Indianapolis. You didn't hate it there. Wasn't the worst place you've ever been in life. So there's some room near the house that Peyton built if you want to come on down.
Yeah, they do have some of the best fried chicken I've ever had, which is not what I think I would ever say about Indiana.
Not until you tried. It sounds blasphemous, and the cornbread too. Like I can't believe we're saying this out loud.
Wow. Maybe I am I need to turn in my Alabama card here. But no, you know what? I don't hate the Colts at all. It's not a culture shock for me as well from color scheme. The blue and white, very similar to the 7 colors of blue and white, and silver, I guess, is part of it.
The two most bland uniforms in the NFL.
Yeah.
So you're
and
used to that.
simple logos. Like you take a star and you turn it into a lucky horseshoe. Like, oh, okay, all right. Well, I can deal with that too. Like maybe a little luck in my life wouldn't hurt. Unfortunately, it's not Andrew Luck, but you know what? I do get Captain Andrew Luck. He's made his comeback, so that's the important part. And I don't know. The Colts are up there. Obviously, I've always had a soft spot for linemen, and the lineman history in Indy has always been a top tier thing. So I'm not against the Colts.
You know what? There's room for you, and we're going to stick in the NFC South for this next team that is trying to court Kelcey. We're going to go down to the 2 back-to-back division-winning Houston Texans, and our good friend Hector from Insert Name FC is going to pitch Kelcey on joining the Texans fandom.
You're looking for a new team, right? There is a team down 45 that maybe you'll be intrigued to look for, and that is, of course, my beloved Houston Texans. So let me tell you some things to be excited about when it comes to H-Town. For starters, the Texans are the youngest team in the NFL, but already has a short history of some great players. Andre Johnson, the first Hall of Famer in Texans history. And let's be honest, J.J. Watt ain't that far away from it either. Now, I understand that the Texans haven't gone past the divisional round of the playoffs, but, I mean, the way this team is looking, it's only a matter of time. A new culture has arisen, obviously, with D'Amico Ryans going into his 3rd year as head coach. Really good for the first 2 years, and hopefully he can follow it up in the 3rd year. Along with, of course, C.J. Stroud, a guy that won Rookie of the Year his first season, number 2 pick overall. And, of course, his partner, Will Anderson Jr., who was drafted immediately after him. A very young team with a head coach that the team very much feeds off of. And I know the worries from this previous season that they didn't look great offensively. Well, Bobby Slow did get fired, so there is hope that there's going to be a new offensive coordinator that can really put the Texans in the right direction. This is a young team, a lot of potential, can hopefully take that next step forward. So if I was you, maybe join the bandwagon early before things start happening for this team, because things will happen. And if you need to make anything else to be sweeter about this team, the ownership group is great. Like I said, the Texans have a really good culture now. No more the days of the Bill O'Brien, Jack Easterby era. Now it is a healthy culture. The fan base who loves Cal McNair, who has embraced the city of Houston, and also the First Lady, Hannah McNair, which the whole city of Houston is prepared to risk it all for you. Bog me if you want to. Hopefully I've answered your questions. Hopefully this is enough to want you to join H-Town's finest, the Houston Texans.
A very, very strong argument indeed. Using ownership group in a different way than we have seen so far. Bonk included along the way as well. But Houston Texans along there, possibly an option now going down to H-Town.
I do love the new uniforms for the Texans. As you know, I'm a huge fan of quality uniform combinations. Love the Texans uniforms, first of all. Second, love D'Amico Ryans as a head coach. Love C.J. Stroud as a quarterback in the NFL. He did take a step back this year, like I predicted, but that's okay because it's just what it is. It's just how it happens. When you go from exceptional, you're going to only go one way, and it's not to become more exceptional. You can only just become more average, and that's okay because next year he's got a potential for explosion. Will Anderson, a fantastic player. No, I love the Texans pitch from using the fan base and using the ownership in his advantage. I don't know what it's like to have a good owner. What is that? What is that like? What does it mean to support an owner? Like, hold on here. I might want to risk it all for somebody that's part of their ownership group. The only thing I want to risk potentially as a Cowboys fan is a jail time. But in this case, all right, I could have a conversation about this. Don't know how I'd feel staying in the state of Texas. But you know what? That's okay because there's a lot of positives there. I like the Texans pitch. Unfortunately, DJ, as the Colts fan, I'm sorry, I might be leaning Texans more than Colts here.
Look, I can't even really blame you at this point either. Don't forget, Texas is a big state, so Houston and Dallas, that's a long gap between, so you can think of it that way as well. We're not done yet, though. We have only gone through 5 teams. We're not going through all 32 today. That is a lot. We're going to continue this as a continuing series, but we do got one more from our very good friend, one of the smartest men we know, and someone who, well, his nickname is the Pain Train because he has gone through some pain, and he is always as positive as it gets. Our good friend, Zach Heilman, is going to pitch Kelcey on the Bears.
What's happening, Kelcey? It's Zach here. I hear you need a new fan base. Well, let me tell you, this is the perfect time to join along with me on your side as a Chicago Bears fan. Bearing down. Join in with the folks off the lakefront. Hey, look, you got the perfect chance to get in on an opportunity where a team getting the best offensive coordinator in the game now is picking up as their head coach, along with an amazing staff coming into town. Dennis Allen is your defensive coordinator. Antoine Randall is the assistant head coach and an up-and-comer himself, plus a loaded roster and one of the top young quarterback prospects in the NFL with tons of potential in this Ben Johnson run offense. Did I mention DJ Moore? Did I mention Rome Odunze? Did I mention Cole Kmet? And plenty of defensive talents, plus top 5 in cap space this coming off season. We got tons of upside. You got to join us. Trust me. Bear down, man. This is your time right now to join the Chicago Bears, the founding team, the original, the OG, the first ever to do it, and the one responsible for getting this league off the ground.
You know what? He's got history on his side. He's got charisma on his side. He's got excitement. He's got some really good points on top of it. And you know what? You live by the lake, you might have to pick a team that is also by the lake.
Yeah, he's also got the mustache going for him. Good look, by the way, Zach. Shout out to you.
Yeah,
gives a little extra bonus points to the pitch.
Is that Zach Heilman or Tom Selleck? I might have picked the wrong video.
Right, exactly. I don't know if this is football anymore. We're trying to pick here. No, I you know what? The Bears have a really good case for themselves. One Hallis Way is historic. It is an absolutely fantastic location. It's a historic franchise. Unfortunately, it's historically bad recently, too, and I think I've talked enough trash about quarterbacks. So hopefully, with Ben Johnson, there's a lot of positives coming in. There's a lot of hope. I do love Ben Johnson. I do love a lot of his coaching staff. I love Antoine Randall as a player. Dennis Allen, I'm 50-50 on. I like him more as a coordinator. But you know what? I don't know what it's like to like a head coach, to like an assistant coach, to like 2 assistant coaches. What is that like? I don't know. Still don't love the whole situation in the ownership, though. Having a GM and a CEO, that's really weird in the NFL. I get why you do it, but kind of weird. But no, you know what? The pitch from Zach, the DJ Moore call, the Roma Dunze call, you know I'm a big fan of both of those guys. Cole Kmet, I think, is an underutilized weapon. Don't like the Caleb Williams part, obviously, but that's just because I didn't think he was going to be that good of a rookie anyways. But you know what? The rest of that team is building something. I do love the idea of going, not too far away. It's a nice city. There's a big hub. There's an airport there that fly in and out of for super cheap. I don't hate the idea of going to Chicago as a fan. That's a consideration. I appreciate Zach for that one. I gave me some points to think about there.
Hey, you know what? We have heard 6 different pitches today from 6 very different teams, but there is still plenty more to go. We are just getting started. If my math is correct, and I am no mathematician, we got 28 teams left to go. Anyone who's listening, you could be part of it too. Be sure to send your video pitch to us on any of our socials as well. We would be glad to hear them with a chance to make it. From now moving forward until we get through all teams and get till Kelcey gets the time to go through it all, we'll be having one new edition every crunch time for every show moving forward. Plan is to have it announced before the start of next season, maybe the Fantasy Football Expo. We'll announce it there. We'll wait and see. It depends how long it takes for Kelcey's heart to fully mend and for him to make a decision. It's a big decision that could affect him for roughly 6 to 7 months out of the year. So we got to make sure everything is taken care of, and we got the NFL draft that could play a part in it as well too. So be sure to send us what you think who Kelcey's next NFL love affair should be. Be sure to tune in every week for that in crunch time. But that's going to do it here for us today. We appreciate you all for tuning in for what is an episode unlike any other for us so far as well. It is a wonderful time. We will find Kelcey's NFL soulmate. We appreciate y'all for joining us along for the ride, and we will see you all again next time.